Off Topic with Mike and JD. I'm JD.
And I'm Mike.
And it's been a while, yes. I know all two of you are disappointed. We haven't been around for a while, but what can I tell you? We got lives outside of this, surprisingly. Surprisingly, our lives don't exist to make this show for the two of you. I know.
When one of our videos cracks 1,000 views, we'll try and pick up the pace.
You know what? If we crack 100 views, I'll pick up the pace. So Mike, this was your idea, so why don't you introduce the topic of today's video?
Sure thing, yeah. Basically what, first of all, we both saw this movie independently, and, I saw your post about how good it was, and I also was, just blown away by this movie. It's an A24 movie, kind of at least for now, it's a limited release. It's a smaller budgeted film. And it's just something you don't see that often. Especially after, we had the pandemic, theaters were closed. I barely have seen that many movies in theaters. And when I have, it's one or two. I saw Tenet, and I saw Spider-Man No Way Home. I saw the blockbusters. This was the first time that a more, I'll say quiet, this movie is not quiet, but a more intimate
quiet release.
Yeah, a more quiet release film caught my attention enough to say, hey, I'm going to go out to the theaters and check it out. And wow, it was just incredible. Easily my favorite film of the year so far. I think that it's a pretty strong contender to hold on to this. And it just takes a lot of premises that I think are really, worn and...
Hey, Mike, you forgot to say the title of the film you're talking about.
Oh, yes. Well, hopefully that's in the title somewhere. But yes, we're talking about the film Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Yes.
And, yeah.
But, yes, as Mike was saying, this movie is just something else. Actually, Dan Povenmire, co-creator of Phineas the Film, is on TikTok. Totally agree with him. He was saying how when Pulp Fiction came out, he read a review that it's one of the movies that reminds you why movies are great. And then he said that this movie is just like that. It's one of the movies that remind you why movies are so great. And I completely agree with that. This movie, it's not like any other film I've ever seen. It is its own class of film. I've never seen a film that tries to do as much as this film does, and yet actually succeed at every step of the way. I feel like this is the type of movie that every wannabe filmmaker says they're gonna make, but never does, because it's just before this film, I would say you can't make a film that does all this that this film does. Yet here we go, a film that is amazing action, hilarious, so many amazing different plot points, family, love, making it in America, meaning of life. This film just hits so many different points, and it somehow is not overstuffed.
Yeah, it's one of the in this world where there's so much media and there's so much going on. Reminds you of the title. I can't tell you how long it's been since I was thinking about a movie the week after I saw it. Even Marvel movies that I love, a lot of times I'm oh wow, that was amazing, I can't wait. I'm always talking about oh, what's the next chapter? How did that end credit scene lead into some future thing? But this movie, I just sat with it. I don't think maybe since Denis Villeneuve's Arrival was the last movie that I'm I need to sit with this movie for a second and think about it.
Yeah. So now, normally when we do these film reviews, we do a spoiler-free section and a spoiler section. But with this, we're going to do something a bit differently. Because the way this film is, we can talk a lot about this film without actually spoiling the story. Now, we're going to spoil themes of the film, but we're not going to spoil actual, specific storylines. So
yeah, if you
might wanna watch the movie
if you
first.
love
But
cinema and kind of like more weird, offbeat movies, and I would say pause this video right now, go see it, knowing as little as possible. Don't even watch the trailer or look at the poster. That said, we're gonna do mild spoilers, as in we're gonna talk about the premise of this movie, which some people consider a spoiler. I don't, but. And then, we'll save any plot details out of it, like specific plot details.
yeah.
So do you want to start us off with?
Alright, well, here's just one thing I love off the bat. Now, it's one of the many genres you could call this film. It's sci-fi. And now, a lot of science fiction, especially now, they feel the need to explain every step of the science fiction. Like, here's how this works. Like, here's how this works. Here's how this works. Even though, I don't care how detailed you break it out. It's magic. You're never gonna explain. Until we actually invent the lightsaber, you're never gonna make proper explanation to how a lightsaber works. Now, this film, I feel, does it right. They don't explain the technology. They're like, we have this technology. We discovered it. And that's that. Like, I think that's perfect. Like, it does not waste time with this boring exposition. It gives you what you need to know. And that's it.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, for those of you who haven't seen the movie, essentially it revolves around a woman who is confronted with this idea that there are multiple realities, and, certain people with this technology can jump between them. And now that's, like, a premise that we've seen a lot. But what I've never seen before, and I thought was absolutely ingenious, like, they give you, like you said, just enough explanation of how it works. So you have to do something statistically improbable to break the attractor field of your universe and, like, slingshot into another universe. Which is, like, technobabble. It's just perfect. I've never seen anything like it. And it just makes, like, that's where a lot of the comedy comes into this movie. It's just, like, the random stuff that happens to make this universe travel work. And it's hysterical. Like, even the jokes that you see coming, it's the payoff. It still hits.
Yeah. See, like I said, this film fits so many genres. One of them is comedy. And it does so many different types of comedy. And like you said, the random things they gotta do does a lot of physical comedy payoff. Like, and it's just like, not just spoiling the really funny one, but one, she just licks someone in the face and then that gives her powers. It's like ridiculous. It makes no sense. And it doesn't try to make sense. It just tries to be funny. And it works.
Exactly. It's really just, it's so smart. And it, like the closest thing, and this isn't doing justice, like the closest thing I can even think of is like a Rick and Morty type scenario, but this is just so unique in what it does, and it's funny, and like the thing is, like, that's almost like secondary to like the characters and everything else going on. Like, you would think in a movie like, like the multiverse of madness type thing, there's a multiverse, there's obviously, no spoilers, but there's a big bad who can travel between multiverses. And so you would think this, like, high concept would be the main focus, but actually, like, the best parts of this movie are like intimate moments of like character between like a family, essentially.
Yeah. Like, just general spoilers is about a husband and wife are having marital trouble, and they work that into the plot about how the differences, and they just work that so one plot is a mother's also estranged from her daughter, and again, it's just about families that are drifting apart, realizing how important family is, and reconnecting. And just the way they do that in this craziness, but like, it's funny. At times it's so crazy, but like, it's also so simple about how just listening to like like it has such simple, like a lot of the problems have such simple solution in this film, and that's kind of the point, like point almost, like be there for your family when they need you. Seems simple, but like they tell it in such a grand and epic way.
Yeah, and it really just like makes you like it makes you laugh, but then it also makes you like uncomfortable. Like it really confronts you, you know. Obviously, like when this character, when she is awakened to the multiverse, she's seeing all these alternate versions of herself, and she's kind of seeing like, oh, they all seem better than me. And I think that's something that like speaks to every single person of like this regret of like, oh, the path not taken, like what could my life have been? Did I like waste my life? You know, and it really makes you uncomfortable, but like in a good way. It makes you think about it, and ultimately, I really, you know, again, I won't spoil anything, but I was worried that this movie would come down full nihilism, like, you know, like Rick and Morty, like full on, like nothing means anything, like the universe is an empty lie, and like it straddles that line. It comes really close, but ultimately, I think this movie has a really hopeful message, and that it made me feel good inside.
Yeah, like it kind of does say nothing matters, but it's like, but it's okay that nothing matters almost. Like, that's kind of the message I got from the film. Like, yeah, nothing really does matter, but it's like, but that's okay. You should still live your life to the best, kind of. That's the impression I got that they were trying to say from that.
Yeah, and I thought that I thought it was saying that, like, you know, like, love can give meaning to these moments in an otherwise chaotic and uncomprehendable universe.
So let's talk about the first-rate acting in this film.
Oh yeah, like, it was incredible.
Let's start off, of course, with the lead, Michelle Yeoh. She was just, oh wow. It's like the way she transitioned from the different versions of herself so seamlessly was just amazing. And like the martial arts scenes with her, I think she's a real life martial artist. I'm not entirely sure about that, but like it was just really impressive, her fight choreography. And like I said, just like how she jumped through all these different versions of the character. There was like her performance, wow, that was just amazing to say the least.
Yeah, no, she's obviously incredible. I mean, some of the and like even some of the smaller roles, like I swear, until the credits roll, I did not realize Jamie Lee Curtis was in this movie. Like the credits were rolling, and I was like, wait, who did Jamie Lee Curtis play?
Yeah,
she's like one of the main characters, but like between the makeup and her acting, I mean, she's phenomenal, but I just didn't recognize her.
And of course, though, Ke Huy Quan's return to acting. Yes. I didn't find this out after the film, but like the second lead, her husband, Ke Huy Quan, he was famously short round in Indiana Jones and Data in the Goonies. And he actually retired from acting in the 90s because he felt there weren't any good roles for Asians. Then he saw Crazy Rich Asians in theaters, which starred Michelle Yeoh. And then he realized, hey, maybe there finally is a chance for Asian actors. So this was the role he chose to make his big return to acting. Now, he has been working on films since then, but like stunt choreography, assistant directing. This was a big role to make you return to the screen on, and he just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah,
I mean, he makes me want a fanny pack. Like, do you know how hard that is to do? To make someone actually want to own a fanny pack.
Exactly.
And if you see the film, you'll know why I'm saying that. Why he makes you, because that is one of these, like, Bessie, but like he mainly plays two different roles. Like the same character, but different versions. One of them is this super nice guy, not very self-confident though, kind of timid. Like I said, He's a very, but everybody, like, he's very lovable guy. He can befriend anybody, but not self-assured. Sure. Yet the other role he mainly plays, he's this confident, badass, who knows what he wants, who knows what he can do. And he just switches back and forth between those two in a blink of an eye. It's just amazing.
Yeah. He, in my opinion, he steals the show. I mean, like, obviously everyone in this movie is amazing, but he lights up every scene he's in, and you cannot wait for him to come back on screen. And I'm like, wow, what a way to come back to acting. I mean, the action is incredible. Now I'm like, oh man, I want adult short round in Indiana Jones 6 because this guy is phenomenal.
And Stephanie Sue, that's a name you're gonna remember. I first saw her when she did she's on Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and she has a recurring character on that show, a pretty decent part, and I could tell like, oh, she's a name that you're gonna remember. She's gonna be a big thing. She's done Broadway in the past, so she's an amazing singer, and this is like her first big film role. She was briefly in Shang-Chi though, but this role, and she knocks it out of the park, and she's the young actress in this, and I can't wait to see what she's gonna do next because she just knocks her role out of the park. She is crazy in the role. She's loving. She's sincere. She's everything in the role, and I really feel that she's gonna be one of the next big names in Hollywood.
I could definitely see that.
But yeah, and on the acting, here's just an interesting note. Early in the writing of the film, before they decided the lead should be woman, they actually had Jackie Chan in mind for the lead. Now this film is perfect. It would not be better with Jackie Chan. I am still very curious what the film would have been like with Jackie Chan in the lead role, because, like I said, there's no way he'll be better than Michelle Yeoh because it's just not possible. But it'll definitely be interesting because it's a very Jackie Chan role when you think about it. The person who goes between unassuming to being suddenly a martial arts master. I mean, hello, the tuxedo. And even the fighting in it is very, Jackie Chan using your environment kind of fight. Like I said, there's no way the Jackie Chan version of this movie is better, but I'm sure it's damn interesting.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would have loved to see that in an alternate universe, no pun intended. But yeah, no, it's great, and you could definitely feel that it was like a Jackie Chan type role. I mean, between like the tuxedo, Twin Dragons, he's no stranger to playing like mild mannered, but also like very highly skilled.
Yeah. And also, one of her personalities is a singer. Not many people know this about Jackie Chan, but he's an extremely talented singer. Like, in a lot of the Mandarin and Cantonese adaptation of Disney films, he does the singing for them. Because, like I said, not many people know that about him, but his singing is amazing.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, not many people know, but yeah, amazing singer. Because he doesn't really do much singing in English. That's why most American audiences don't know that.
Right.
Most of his singing is done in Mandarin and Cantonese. So yeah. So there's no way the Jackie Chan version is better, but it would be very good to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, so back to the version of the film we do have though, which, like I say, is amazing. Like, it's actually somewhat hard to describe because it really is everything at once. This film, is a very fitting title for this film because it just gives you so many different things, but I don't know how it manages to balance everything. This film, in my opinion, should not work. It's trying too hard, it's doing too much. This film simply should not work. But it does.
It's very good at making itself feel larger than a film like this should. If you look at movies like, say, Hardcore Henry, I like that movie, but you can kind of tell that it's straining up against its budget to be like, oh, we want this like absolute high concept insanity, but we have a very small budget to deliver it. This does what that movie wants to do in the sense that, like, I feel like this is a blockbuster movie. Like, I feel like this grand scope, but, you know, and between their use of, like, stock footage and stuff, like, it's just a beautiful movie, and it feels like, oh, wow, you know, they do a lot with a little. Like, in the other universes, you really only have one central location for this movie, and it's an office building. Like, but you're ping-ponging.
But it doesn't feel like. Well, no, yeah, it doesn't feel like it's only one location because, like, but it is, yeah.
Yeah, you like, you know, I guess two, because you also have their, you know, their home, which is part of a laundromat. But in general, like, you're seeing all these alternate realities of insanity, but you're only catching like quick glimpses of it that make good use of stock footage and limited photography to make you feel like, oh wow, this is its own universe that's lived in.
Well, one thing they do that I didn't even realize, they use a lot of, like, they use different framing, they use different lighting techniques for each different universe. They do a lot of they do a lot of camera stuff to give it a real, like, even though it's the same filming location, they make it have a real different feel to it.
Exactly.
Which is just, so well done. But yeah, and it's like, like I said, I just keep running out of words because it's like, how many different ways can you say this film is one of the best films ever? And I truly feel that way. This film is one of the best films I ever seen. No, I'm not exaggerating. Like, I've never seen a film like this before.
Yeah.
That does this much. That makes me feel so many different emotions. Like, I laughed. I didn't flat out cry, but, you know, I got close to there. I felt for these characters. And like, it's hard to, it's just to make people laugh and feel for the characters alone, it's hard to do. But then also, it just does all this other stuff. Like, the action is just amazing to watch. The great fight scenes, and just everything about this film. Like, I cannot think of anything wrong with this film. Except for the hot dog fingers. I thought that was weird. That was the only thing I didn't like about it.
See, I was on board with that. I thought everything other than maybe the butt stuff was A+.
Oh, that was just hilarious in my opinion. We're not going to spoil for you what the butt stuff is because that would just take away the hilarity of it.
But yeah, I could definitely see this movie like taking home some awards at the end of this year.
It better. Like, it came out at absolutely the worst time for Oscars. Because, I mean, we just had the past ones. It might not be people's mind. It's also a genre film that makes it harder, but God, I'll be so upset if it's not at least nominated for Best Picture and Best Director. Like, come on.
Yeah, I feel like, and also I feel like definitely Best Original Screenplay. I mean, this is...
yes.
Yeah. But either way, definitely go out and see it. Treat yourself. You know, it is a very emotional movie. Like, it touches on a lot of, like, relationships. So, like, whoever you are, like, or your relationships with your loved ones, it kind of touches on that and, like, what that means. So, yeah, I mean, go see it.
Yeah, and you said this in the beginning, but you're right. It comes so close to being a depressing film, but it's not. I'm not going to spoil how it ends, but it ends unhappy. Like, it's a very hopeful film.
Yeah.
And I feel that's another mistake that a lot of lesser films, I feel, would have done. I feel like a lot of films want to be edgy and like, oh, we're not going to give you the happy ending because that's the Hollywood thing to do. I'm the edgy filmmaker, so we're going to give you a depressing ending. That's why that's one of the big things why I couldn't stand Don't Look Up. Because I felt like it just did not need such a depressing ending. This film doesn't do that. It's like, it's a fun film, and it gives you a happy, hopeful ending that Like if it as much as I love the film, if it ended on a depressing note, it could have ruined everything for me. And I was so happy that it didn't.
So I'm curious, again, without spoiling anything, there's a moment in this film where you think it's over. Did you actually think it was over?
Well, no. Like they trick you, but like, I mean, I wasn't sure it was gonna end on a happy note, but like, I knew it was gonna have at least a definitive ending, and when they make you think it's over, it's not like a real even ending.
It definitely.
No, I wasn't sure. So I was not tricked. Were you?
No, but it caught me off guard. I like took a pause, but I didn't think it was over. Just because I also knew the film's runtime, but like there's a lot of great fake outs and a lot of great moments.
Yeah. But yeah, if you just enjoy movies, you see this, yes, a film buff will appreciate this movie on a different level, but everybody will appreciate this film. Like, even if you just appreciate it for the jokes, or just appreciate it for the action, or relate to the storyline. Because, like I said, despite being a ridiculous film, a lot of parts of this film are so relatable.
Absolutely.
I just can't see anybody who likes movies somehow not liking this film. I mean, maybe not, you won't like it as much as I did, but I can't see someone walking away from that film and being unhappy. Like, because like I said, it literally has something for everyone.
100%. So yeah, overall, go to the theater, get a hot dog at the concession stand, and go see this movie.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to?
So I think that's.
You want to add?
No, I think that's it. I mean, full-footed when the Oscars come up. I know that's very far in advance, but please, this film deserves every Oscar. And see it. It deserves every dollar it gets. It's an amazing film.
100%. I cannot wait to see it again.
Yeah. Alright, so I think we can sign off.
Alright.
Alright, I'm still JD.
And I'm still Mike.
Goodbye.